The Solidarity Fund is embarking on a fundraising mission this week. It aims to provide humanitarian relief to the people left with no food supply by the recent unrest. Scores have been left with no access to food following the looting and burning of a number of malls in KZN and Gauteng. For more on this, I'm joined by Gloria Serobe, who is with the Solidarity Fund. Mrs. Serobe, thank you so much for making time on the lead this afternoon. So you will start the fundraising process to provide this humanitarian relief. I'm sure you agree, looking at the extent of the damage, the need is greater. So what kind of relief do you see the fund providing? What's your priority?
See, the priority, Clement, is looked at between us and government, because we augmented the work of government, remember now, is that of food relief and medical supplies, and concentrating, of course, in KZN and those parts of Gauteng which were affected. So it's mainly food and medical supplies.
So how are you going to raise the funds? Will you rely on donations, and how do people even go about donating this time around?
Well, we had to make sure that currently, as we are designed for COVID rapid response, all the funding we have in place at this moment it is for COVID, and that is what the donors understand. So we had to separate this and even have a separate account, just to make sure that people who are donating for this relief fund are kind of ring-fenced from the current COVID funding that we have, because in the absence of that, we will be irritating our existing donors, and we don't have the mandate from them to use that money for the relief fund as is now envisaged. So it is a new fundraising. It is into a new account. Even the teams might be a bit more different, because remember now, Clement, that this relief means that we cannot accumulate money. It must go immediately to where it should go. We are not fund managers. It's not important for us that our bank account is carrying 3 billion rands or 2 billion rands or 1 million rands. It is irresponsible for us to accumulate funds, because it is meant to go rapidly to where it is actually needed. And so the main thing, though, with the Solidarity Fund, which is why it was earmarked to carry this function, is that our governance issues are very strong, even when we have to make quick decisions. You do have simple things like separation of duties. The people who are making decisions are not signing checks. The ones who made the request are not the ones who are actually doing something else. It's very important, because at some point we have to assure donors that the money went to where it was meant to go. And for us to do that, we need these strong institutional infrastructures in place. As you know, we have Ernst & Young helping us with that. We've got Edward Nathan helping us on the governance side. All Mutual is helping us on the processing side. We've got a whole lot of people who are just consumed with how much governance there is in place. Pricewaterhouse, external auditors. So we're quite conservative in that sense. At the same time, the reason for the Solidarity Fund to be there is that of being agile and flexible and rapid and quick. And in this case, we have to be even quicker than we were under COVID, because people are in trouble.
Yeah, and a lot of people need the help almost immediately, Mrs. Serobe. I hear you that, from what I'm getting there, you will not be using any of the funds that were raised for COVID-19 relief. Do you plan on approaching some of the funders to say, can you give us the mandate to use some of the money that already exists so we can respond urgently to the needs of the people on the ground, that while the other donations come into the separate account and that money could be replaced? Is there a plan like that, or are you going to wait until there are donations that come into the new account and you can start with that humanitarian relief based on the resources, financial resources you would have at the time?
I think, Clement, what we have learned quite closely with South Africans, when they are faced with a crisis, they do respond. in a crisis way. We need not have to confuse the two programs. Remember that COVID itself is still a crisis that is alive. And those monies are earmarked for all manner of things. We're still busy with the vaccine rollout. It's still an urgent program. We still have this wave 3. It's an urgent program. All manner of things still has to happen on the COVID side. And then on the relief side, we have to respond quickly. I am not worried about having to go to the existing donors to make sure that this relief fund works. I'm not uncomfortable by the fact that we will not be in that kind of situation where we need to dip into this COVID fund. There will be responses. We have had requests already of people wanting to help. So I think South Africans are quite good in that way. They don't like stress. They don't like tensions. They just see drama, and they do respond appropriately. Good faith. The only thing that is always required, which is what we have delivered before, is that when people give you money on good faith, you have to show them responsibility. They must not have the resentment that you have used money for things that they never gave you for. And hence the issue of governance is very important. So the benefit we've got is that the governance structures are already in place. That tends to be the one that delays the forming of a fund. In our case, that is all in place already. People who want to put money, and it will be used tomorrow.
Are you able to give us an update about the fund that currently exists? Is there still money remaining from the COVID-19 relief fund? How much did you raise in total, and how much has been used so far?
You mean the current COVID fund?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we have about 800 million to 1 billion rands, and the bulk of it is going to go towards the health issues, because the vaccine rollout is a massive program too. Government does acquire the vaccine, but on the ground now, in terms of the sites, in terms of the campaigns, awareness, making people feel comfortable, we have lots of things to do around there. So the bulk of money is going to go into the health, especially on the vaccine rollout at this time. And we will still have the humanitarian issues linked to that. We still have the campaign issues linked to that. So we're sitting there with between 800 to 1 billion rands.